not only that, Walter Raleigh is the owner of North America, which is passed down to me. Hello, North America. Bye-bye, United States of America.
So yeah, interesting. So I saw you have this Prince of New Spain. Is
Yeah.
this, one of your, is this a title that you have?
When the CIA and American military land in Christchurch Airport on their way to Antarctica to McMurdo Base, they record landing in Christchurch as NS, which is New Spain, because New Spain is the name for the new continent about to be discovered. So North America was known to the Spanish as New Spain, and Antarctica is the new continent being discovered, so it's known as New Spain. So it's written as NS. Right? So Prince of New Spain means Prince of the New Continent, which can be the new world that we're developing now. And New Spain can also refer to New Zealand. So Prince of New Spain means Prince of New Zealand, and it also alludes to being Prince of North America and owner of North America, owner of New Zealand. Because what happened was Queen Elizabeth awarded North America to Sir Walter Raleigh. She said, Sir Walter Raleigh is the owner of North America, and any new country yet to be discovered that is not occupied by a Christian prince, which includes New Zealand.
So interesting then. Yeah, that's fascinating. And so you were talking about Antarctica as well, and of course this is a big topic in the flat Earth stuff, which I go into in the book. You know, is this Antarctica? Is there more land out there, as Admiral Byrd said, or are we just going to come up against a hard wall like the Truman Show? You know, it just run into a wall where the world ends. I
don't have anything invested in flat Earth or round Earth. I think they are both half-assed models that are designed to split people into two separate groups so they hate each other and stop communicating with each other, and both models have bad science in them.
Yeah, well, maybe get to the end of my book. I hope I get to bring it together a bit more. But yeah, I hate the debating as well. But at the same time, it's like we maybe can't know exactly what things are, but we can know what they're not. It's like you can know when something is a lie or a fraud. And I think a lot of people just come to the flat Earth just as a result of basically, obviously, first discovering that NASA is a fraud, and then discovering the heliocentrism fraud and stuff like that. And then, so it's rather just a position that things are as they appear, stationary and with a flat horizon. But that's like kind of all we can know, really.
Well, Admiral Byrd was a liar.
Well, okay, so yeah. So tell us about that then.
It's like Einstein was a liar. He used to work in the patent registry office and steal people's ideas. And his wife was a physicist, and she used to write good papers, and he would steal her ideas. And then he was a Hasidic Jew, wasn't he? Like Portuguese Jew, Spanish Jew. He was a Hasidic Jew, not like a Russian or Ashkenazi or Israeli Jew. He's a Hasidic Jew. That's close enough. Got all these ideas. Some of them are real because they're stolen out of the patent office and they work. But I've got my own ones I want to add on. Some, sort of, T-tail physics.
Yeah.
I have a thing called E equals MC squared. It's cracking. Everyone will think they understand it, but no one does.
Yeah. Everyone knows about E equals MC squared. Yeah, it's although no one can use it to do anything. But
Admiral Byrd was a liar. I mean, he was a liar. So we've got these heroes. We've had all these heroes right through history, and they're liars, right?
Yeah.
So Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica, I think it was in 1958, in the International Global Scientific Year. Right?
So that was like the year before the Antarctic Treaty, right?
Yeah. Where the Antarctica get divided up into a pie. Every country had this little segment, So Admiral Byrd faked his death. He didn't die then. and he was going to meetings with the Joint Chiefs of Staff in New Zealand on Albert Street in Auckland. And my friend, who was like second in charge of the Security Intelligence Service, he was there and meeting and seeing Admiral Byrd there, talking to the head of the Army, head of the Air Force, head of the Navy, after death. Right? And Admiral Byrd said, "Now, none of you saw me here.
You ain't seen me, right?"
I wasn't here."
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
All that guy told me has turned out to be true. And I was also briefed by people who were in Antarctica, working there as, I don't know, scientists or roughneck scientists, you know, people actually building stuff there for the scientists, and, you know, flying in and flying out. And because the New Zealand base wasn't far from McMurdo Sound, it was pretty close. McMurdo, Americans could go to the New Zealand base, but New Zealanders couldn't go to the American base. And of course, there were aliens.
Well, yeah, I've heard stories.
And then, you know, the Nazis were there in the submarines, and the true story is completely different. Completely different. The true story is just completely different.
But what about the
really bad science? Just really bad science, and also off track. Like there's 3 countries in the world where you're allowed to invent shit and get acknowledged, right? That's America, England, and Germany. If you live anywhere else and discover stuff, someone's going to steal it off you and claim they. You know that one. You know what it's like, yeah. If you achieve something great and you're Scottish and you're living in Scotland, he's British.
Yeah, he's British. Yeah, that's so true.
The New Zealander becomes really famous, like say Russell Crowe. Yeah, he's Australian. Yeah, Russell Crowe's Australian, right? Yeah. You know, so if a Canadian actor becomes famous, they're all of a sudden an American actor, and it's just inventors. So my great-grandfather was New Zealand's most famous inventor, but he lived in New York, right, from like 1901 to 1936, and he was considered the world's foremost authority in the 1930s on the combustion engine, and he invented 72 different patents on the forerunner to the carburetor, and he was getting 33 miles per gallon in 1901. And he sold his Godwood gas vaporizer to British public transport and the American military, which extended the supply lines, so we won both wars. Right? My great-grandfather won both wars by extending the supply lines, getting 33 miles per gallon instead of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the big difference in war. And Americans don't acknowledge him at all because he's from New Zealand, right? And he had a Kylo company. It was called KY, new word LO, Kylo company in New York, and his vice president was Mark Twain. And Mark Twain was American, right? So you couldn't say anything bad about Mark Twain, but he came up with this bright idea to invest in the Everglades, and his saying was, buy land, they're not making any more of it. So all these people invested in the Everglades, which is boggy ground, you can't build on it, you can't do anything with it. And so Mark Twain was destitute in New York, living on the streets, which the Americans never mentioned. And it was my great-grandfather who picked him up off the streets, gave him a place to live, and gave him a job as his vice president.
Wow.
And then he was going to Nikola Tesla's place, which was about 800 yards away, and having the first kind of X-ray on his hand, you know? And then going back to my great-grandfather's place, Ernest Robert Godwood. But because he's from New Zealand, not famous American. Because he rescued America's national hero, but he's from New Zealand, no recognition. Instead, in the 1929 crash, they took the equivalent of $300 million off him.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just getting this picture of, like you say, I think overlay really is the best word, isn't it? There's like this overlay of these like fake countries
Oh yeah,
yeah, and history is being constantly written through the media, through the publishers and everything. Stuff is being written into history of this fake overlay, Jesuit unions and unified nations like Britain and so on. Like I always think on the internet, whenever I'm asked where I live, I can never select Scotland. You have to choose your country from a drop down. Scotland isn't there, and I'm like, well, where did it go? I also have to choose United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But
it's not a country. United Kingdom country. It's a corporation.
Exactly. But the nations then are. Would you say the nations are divine? The nations are of God, and this is being, in the sense that like, every nation has its own particular quality, its own particular look and feel, its own national dishes, its own national dance, its own national animal. It's like there's
language,
everything. There's just there's like something like divine about like each nation is like a different branch on the human tree or something. But these corporations are like international, and they want to like suppress national identity while kind of flattening out everyone into like an international soup of caramel brown people or something like that.
Yeah, coffee-colored people by the score. That's the line in the song. There will be coffee-colored people by the score.
Yeah.
So you want to mix all cultures so that people lose their identity. And so your countries where your heart beats, like you're Scottish, your heart beats for Scotland, right? Not Wales or Ireland, England, and home is where the heart is, and yours is Scotland, and you can't find it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You've maybe got some, what are your courts called? Is it called Courts of Scotland, or what's it called?
The courts.
Yeah, but like here we've got the courts of England and Wales. Right. So what are the Scottish courts called?
I guess I don't know the courts of Scotland. I've never been in court, so I'll hopefully keep it that way.
Yeah. And then Ireland. Well, Ireland is kind of the name of Southern Ireland, right? It's not the name of Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland's Northern Ireland, and then Southern Ireland is called Ire.
Right.
But
it used to be called Hibernia.
Or Hibernia, yeah.
Yeah, which is where Hibernian comes from, which again I didn't know. The football team Hibernian, right? It's like Irish. Yeah. So the nations then. So I think your role, as I understand it, is to is to rectify history, to expose what the false history is and the true history, or rather show the true history. The false history is kind of being picked apart by everyone at the moment, it seems. But your role, as I understand it, I mean, I feel like you're dishing out the highest truths. A lot of us are focused on different areas like science or, whatever it is, vaccines, flat earth, there's all these different areas that people specialize in. But I see like you're like at the highest point of truth, which is the actual like the conspiracies and the activities of royalty, kings and queens over the last 1,000 years or so. And I think I've tried to talk to people about your work and send people your work and stuff, and I honestly think it's in some ways just too big for a lot of people to even think about. It's just the whole idea of you being the legitimate king and being suppressed and hidden and everything. It's just such a big. It's the biggest story ever, I would say.
Well, yeah. Thanks for that. The return of the true king, or actually true kings, because I'm working with the true king of Scotland as well. We got on great. It's supposed to be the greatest story ever told, which it is, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of the things that were created for us recently on the 24th of April, the meeting was like 12 hours before, was Big Ben was stopped on two faces.
Say that again, sorry?
Big Ben, the clock at Big Ben stopped on two faces simultaneously. One stopped at 9:15, one stopped at 9 o'clock, right? And then one of them stopped again at 10:11. And then about at 10:06, Big Ben rung 11 times, so 54 minutes early. And on the same day, at the same time, a black and white horse ran 6 miles through London, right? And the black horse represents King David, the true king of Scotland, right? And the white horse with the blood down it, and it represents the Templars, but it also represents me a bit. And it ran for 6 miles through London from Fitzrovia, right? Fitz is the name of illegitimate royals, and Rovia is roving, so it's where the illegitimate royals rove. And Fitzrovia is on the back of Buckingham Palace garden with its 8-metre high walls. And it ran from Fitzrovia past the Tower of London to Limehouse, right? And Limehouse, Limey, it's the name of common English people. So it went from the illegitimate royals to the common English people so they'd understand it, right? Wow. And the 2 horses were stopped on King David Road, right, where it meets Glamis Castle, which in your area is actually called Glamis.
Glamis, yes, not far from here, yeah.
And the article was written by John King. King John. Right, and it's about King David and King John, and the horses stop at King David Road, and the article's written by John King, right? And then when the prophecy is that the tower clocks will show the wrong time when the 2 Christs arrive, right? And Christ is a title, not someone in a long flowing white gown. It's a title, right? And it has specific meaning, right? And basically Christ is automatically the King of England, and the other Christ is automatically the King of Scotland, which we've got. And the other guy, the King of Scotland, King David, he actually wears the 2 rings of the king. He's already got them.
Wow.
Right? So, and I've got a whole bunch of royal marks, like I've got Jacob's pillow. You know, I went to Scotland and hired dug it up, and then they took that video down on the 9th of February, 2024.